When children are very young, they have no concept of lying. As parents, we find it much easier to discipline our children at a stage where we can expect them to tell us the truth because they understand truth. They understand the difference in right and wrong. Jesus thanked God in Matthew 11 verse 25 that he revealed truth to babes and hid it from those who were wise in their own sight. This indicates that the hard part of holding fast to sound doctrine is not understanding what sound doctrine is, but rather having the strength to live by it. Paul commanded Timothy to teach others to avoid and reject false doctrine, because that is the loving and right way to labor for God in 1 Timothy chapter 1, verses 3 through 5. He alluded that the charge and the revelation that had been made to Timothy concerning his work as an evangelist in the latter part of that chapter, when he says, "This charge I commit to you, son Timothy, according to the prophecies previously made concerning you, that by them you may wage the good warfare, having faith and a good conscience, which some, having rejected concerning the faith, have suffered shipwreck, of whom are Hymenaeus and Alexander, whom I delivered to Satan, that they may learn not to blaspheme." 1 Timothy 1, verses 18 through 20. Though some had departed from the truth, Timothy could be strong because he had received the truth of God. The success that Satan has had in drawing many once very strong soldiers away from teaching only the pure and simple gospel ought to garner our attention. Faithfulness requires work and a genuine love for God and His church. We must remember that in the Bible, we have the truth as delivered by God Himself, and teaching anything that is contrary to Scripture betrays the loving work that God has done for us. Timothy was charged by Paul to teach the truth so that sound doctrine could be recognized from error. Friends, truth is so precious that it is worth fighting for. Paul commands Timothy to wage the good warfare, 1 Timothy 1 and verse 18. And yes, a grueling battle awaits those who will confront the lies of the devil. Paul knew that Timothy needed to be strong to overcome those tests that were before him. And as an excellent example for Timothy, Paul names the false teachers who had been withdrawn from because of their error. It takes great boldness, my friends, to contend earnestly for the faith. Paul was not unloving in naming these wayward brothers. Love demanded that Paul do that which was in their best interest and in the best interest of the brotherhood at large. Some rebuke with a mean spirit and just lazily write off brothers who could be restored or who were never wrong in the first place. Others ignore known error in a congregation or in a preacher in hopes that they'll study their way out of it eventually. Folks, neither extreme is right. And to be like Paul, we need to be able to speak the truth in love, Ephesians 4 and verse 15. Aquila and Priscilla were willing to take Apollos aside and explain the way of God to him more accurately, Acts 18 and verse 26. And those bold enough to do so in a biblical way should not be met with accusations of trying to be the brotherhood police. Just because some have waged war in an unlawful manner does not mean that no one should do it at all. This must be done lovingly because there is a difference between a false teacher and a teacher who has mistakenly taught something false. Any Bible teacher should take James 3 and verse 1 to heart and respond humbly when approached in this manner. Hymenaeus and Alexander have made shipwreck of their faith, and this is not only because they taught error, but because they rejected faith and a good conscience. If Timothy was going to fulfill his charge, then he would need to teach the truth, defend it, and live it out in his life. Living by that which is preached is necessary. The scribes and the Pharisees were rebuked because they did not hold themselves to the same standard by which they taught others to live in Matthew 23, verses 3 and 4. Paul was able to have a good conscience despite his past. He knew that the truth lovingly provided to him by God must be obeyed in order to obtain mercy. And friends, if truth is taught, it produces godliness because the law is for sinners that they might become obedient. 1 Timothy 1, verses 8 through 11. And ungodly teaching can only produce ungodly people. Like Timothy, we need to hold fast to sound doctrine. if we are going to be saved.
The Noble Searcher is a ministry of the Pyburn Street Church of Christ, and we thank you for joining us for our study today. If you have any questions or requests for lesson topics, please feel free to email us at pyburnstreet, that's Pyburn Street, at gmail.com. Or you can write to us at Pyburn Street Church of Christ, Post Office Box 187, Pocahontas, Arkansas, 72455. Friends, we thank you for being with us today, for studying God's Word with us, and we encourage you both today and every day to search the Scriptures daily.